Hey Globalites, welcome to Downday Sunday, a weekly video series where I share a recent experience, answer your questions, and raffle off a postcard. This week, Globalites, my recent experience is actually going to be featured in a future video, so I don't really want to talk about specifics, but I recently crossed a border to a new country, and so I've been reflecting upon that experience, and I thought I'd share a few tips with you on what you need to do to prepare for a border crossing. Now, these are very general tips. They're not country specific, so every single country is going to have some different kind of circumstance, and you should take some time to do some research about visiting that country. But I think these 5 tips are going to help you out no matter what the situation is. Number 1 is pretty obvious, but have your passport. That's probably like the most important thing you need to do to prepare, is have a passport. But also make sure it's valid for at least 6 months on the date that you arrive, because many countries will have that as a requirement for entry. Also, make sure you have enough pages in your passport for a new stamp or a new visa, because if you don't have that, they're not going to let you into the country. And especially if you're flying into somewhere, that would suck to be turned away after probably a pretty long flight. Again, it seems pretty obvious, but I've heard so many stories of that happening to people. Number 2, check the entry requirements for your nationality. Your home country has different diplomatic relationships with other countries, and depending on how good those relationships are, there's going to be different visa requirements for citizens visiting from your home country. So some countries will require you to have a visa before you get to the country. Some countries will let you get the visa when you get to the border, and some countries will not even need you to get a visa altogether. So make sure you do your research on that. That's super vital, because again, you can be turned away if you don't have those things lined up. And part of that research, you should also look for the fees for any visas that you have to get. And many countries will accept US dollars for those fees, so make sure you have the money beforehand if you have to get a visa on arrival. Number 3, know the name of a hotel and the address for the hotel in the city that you are going to be arriving in. Now, many people are going to tell you have your first night booked before you get to a country, but sometimes that's not necessarily something you need to do if you're traveling long term. Definitely if this is your first stop somewhere, I highly recommend that you do that. I'm not saying don't do that. But if you don't know where you're going to be staying on the first night that you are entering a new country, then just make sure you have a name and address, because visa applications and arrival cards require you to write down a residence or a place that you're going to be staying. And you want to make sure those forms are completed as much as possible, so go ahead and put something there. Now, they don't actually check every single time where you're staying, because likely you're probably not going to be staying at the same accommodation for the entire visit. And maybe you are, but maybe you're not. And there are a lot of travelers who don't stay at that location all the time, and they know that. So it's okay to put down something that you might not be staying at the time that they need you. Number 4, bring local currency before you arrive, or have a means to get local currency when you get there. Some banks in your home country will have the currency that you're going to be needing, but for smaller countries, maybe that currency isn't going to be available to you. So typically the best way to get money at the best rate is to just withdraw the money from an ATM. And it's even better if you have a checking account that has no foreign transaction fees or no ATM fees. You can also exchange money at the point of departure or the point of arrival, but generally those rates are really terrible and you'd be losing lots of money. But if you're going to do that, generally just bring small denominations of your home currency, because people are more likely to take those than larger bills. And you might find that the country you're visiting will accept your home currency as their currency that they're going to be taking from you. And number 5, make sure you download a map of at least the city that you're going to be visiting. Odds are, when you arrive at a country, you're probably not going to have data service, and therefore you're not going to be able to easily just Google wherever you need to go like you would in your home country. So if you have the map downloaded on your phone, you can orient yourself, especially if you're by yourself and you don't speak the language of the country you're visiting. It's very helpful to just have that already set so that you know where you're going, and you don't have to deal with those variables, because there's so many other variables to deal with, because there are so many unknowns in travel. Awkward transition, because apparently I wasn't recording during the segment. So we're just gonna have to insert this. So if you follow those 5 tips and you have like no criminal record in the country you're visiting, you probably will be fine. But be sure to look up the specific country and the experience of entering the country, just to be sure. And you should have no problem getting through customs and immigration. question. Okay, it's question time, and this week, no one asked me a question. What's that about, guys? So this week I'm going to answer 2 questions that were submitted but I have never answered before. But seriously, you guys, if you want your question answered, this is your opportunity to get free advice from me. So go ahead and leave a comment down below and I might answer it next week. Both the questions this week come from Lucky Gary Della Rosa. The first question is, on average, how much have I been spending each month on this trip? And we're going to have another awkward transition and cut back to the answer. Now, I haven't done the exact math, but I think it's about $700 to $800 just on travel expenses. But yeah, I tried to stick with $25 a day. That's my rule. I don't really think about the month. And Gary also writes, where has been the best place I visited? And that's such a complicated question because there's so many great things that I have seen on this trip and on other trips, quite frankly. So what I will say is that on this trip, the best country I visited is Vietnam. The best city I've been to is Chiang Mai, and the most beautiful island that I've been on has been Koh Phi Phi. I hope that satisfies that question. So thank you, Gary, for all those questions that I didn't have time to answer before, and hopefully next week we'll have some more questions down in the comments that I can answer. Finally, every week we raffle off a postcard from the place that I'm currently at, and I'm going to go ahead and pull something from Mr. Fishman. Oh, you lost an eye. And the winner is Carrie Carter McCoy. Congratulations, Carrie, you win a postcard. And if you want a postcard next week, go ahead and leave a comment down below with the hashtag of the place that you think I'm at right now. And here's a hint. Coming up this week on the channel, I sit down with a fellow travel YouTuber who is transgender, Filipina, and fabulous. So please stick around for that. And I may or may not get another adventure vlog in before the next Downday Sunday. I'm hoping to, but just prepare for maybe just that one video. Like, subscribe, and follow, and I'll see you in the next Downday Sunday. And until then, get off the couch and go do great things. Bye! Look at that! It's very hot, very hot. Trái ổi. Trái ổi. Trái ổi.